Hello YouTube, my name is Nero, and today we have some Titanfall in this week's episode of Dear Nero, which of course is the weekly series here on my channel where subscribers send me in fan mail and or fan questions, and I do my best to go ahead and answer it. To cover on the gameplay, I haven't played Titanfall in a few months now, but I'm starting to get like the itch to want to play it. I don't know why. The game itself was so much fun when it first came out, then it just got like boring to like literally everybody. But I have a bunch of Titanfall gameplay here on my computer, and I figure we're going to post up some Titanfall. That'll be something different for the channel, so hopefully you guys all enjoy that while we go over the questions for this week's episode of Dear Nero. 1 week after Dear Nero episode 100, so that makes this one Dear Nero episode 101. Pretty awesome. So the first question he's going to write, Dear Nero, how many hours have you put into Call of Duty as a franchise, meaning all the Call of Duties combined? And this person did not leave his or her name. So I went and estimated how much playtime I put in every Call of Duty. I started with Call of Duty 4, so this includes Call of Duty 4, World at War, Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 2, and of course Call of Duty Ghost. And I added it all up, and I think roughly 4,000 hours. Which is a lot of time put into the Call of Duty franchise. But over the course of, since 2007, so over the course of 7 years, almost 8, I guess it's still a bunch of time, but still, it's not that bad, I guess, over the course of 7 or 8 years. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, what is your favorite part about being a YouTuber? Mitch from NE. So that could be New England, that could be Nebraska. I'm not sure what NE means, but it's Mitch from NE. So, what is my favorite part about being a YouTuber? There's a lot of awesome things about being a YouTuber. One, I can put 4,000 hours into Call of Duty and it would be justified, which kind of goes back into my first question. I think the best part about being a YouTuber is freedom of schedule and basically the freedom that comes with being a YouTuber, Any other job that you have, or most jobs out there, you don't have any freedom of schedule. There's the boss man ahead of you, and you're scheduled to go into work from this time to this time, and you've got a schedule, and you've got to be there. You have a set task that you're supposed to be doing every single day. And with me, my day consists of waking up and making videos and playing video games. That is my day, is just basically revolving around playing video games. I think that's probably the coolest part, And the other parts that come along with the freedom of schedule, if I have something going on, like we go to that family reunion thing on the weekend, that's not hard to schedule. I don't have to schedule ahead with my boss and try and get people to cover my shift or do anything like that. It's like, okay, so we're going here this weekend. I can just, make Chem Strike Saturday and record that on Friday instead, then bam, there we go. It's that simple. Being a YouTuber is awesome because it gives you the freedom to do really whatever you want, and you can also be very creative in your job, which I think a lot of people don't have that, which is why there's so many people that have hobbies outside of their work, like different kinds of art or piano or different kind of various projects outside of the workplace, because they feel kind of restricted creatively, and I don't have that. Every single day is being creative, being a YouTuber, so that's pretty awesome. I think it's my favorite part about YouTube, is how creative you can be, and the freedom of schedule, and all the video games I get to play. That's probably the coolest part. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, I understand that you are interested in World War II, and I was wondering, do you have any relatives that fought in World War II or any other war? Keep up the great content and have a wonderful week. Zach from California. So, Mr. Zach, I don't believe I had any relatives in World War II. That would be the great-grandparents' generation, and I don't know my great-grandparents that well. I didn't meet a lot of them. A lot of them had died before I was born, except for my great-grandmother on my dad's side. One of my great-grandmothers on my dad's side, she was alive throughout most of my life. She died a few years back, and she was well into her 90s at that point, but she was a cook throughout the majority of her life at a camp, which was right down the road from us. So, none of my great-grandparents that I know of, possibly, because there's a lot of great-grandparents that are unaccounted for that I've never really met, but the ones that I know of, I don't believe any of them fought in World War II, although my grandfather, which is my dad's dad, he did fight in Vietnam. He did something with vehicles. He drove a truck. He doesn't talk about it a whole lot. It's one of the things maybe you don't want to ask about it and stuff. He doesn't talk about Vietnam a whole lot, but he was in Vietnam, and he drove, I think it was like an oil truck or something like that, and behind enemy lines or something. I remember hearing stories about it when I was younger, but it's one of those things that you don't really want to ask unless they openly start discussing it. I think, you know, you don't really go up to a Vietnam veteran and start asking them about Vietnam and, you know, what they were doing, what it was like, and stuff like that. At least I don't think you do. Maybe I'm just too awkward to ask him. But yeah, so my grandfather on my dad's side, he fought in Vietnam. But other than that, I don't believe I have any military people in my family. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, I am a Call of Duty player, and I'm looking for something new to play. A lot of my friends have been playing Skyrim, so I was wondering if you would recommend it. Chris from Minnesota. So Chris, you're looking for a new game. That's understandable. I was wondering when the gaming population, like as a whole, is really going to start turning to new games. And it's kind of tough though, because like on YouTube, Call of Duty is so popular, but the people that, you know, have been playing Call of Duty for years, and they kind of start looking towards other games and not just only playing Call of Duty, those people are quickly replaced with new people who are new to Call of Duty. That's all they want to talk about is Call of Duty. It's weird, but okay. So you're looking for a game outside of Call of Duty to play. There's a few I can recommend. You say your friends are playing Skyrim. Definitely can recommend that game. That game is fantastic. If you like RPG games, if you like medieval style fantasy games, Skyrim is very great. Elder Scrolls Online is also very great. It's basically Skyrim, but you can play it with your friends. It's an MMORPG. Right now, it's only out for the PC, and it's actually slated to have a release coming roughly around Christmas. Sometime in December is when they're going to be releasing that game for the consoles. It's $60 for the game plus $15 a month to play, but it's an MMORPG. You will get your money's worth because MMORPGs will consume your life. Some other games, I really recommend Borderlands, both Borderlands 1 and Borderlands 2. Those can be played co-op, and co-op in that game is fantastic. It's also really good to play either one of those games solo. Just great story, great humor, just great fun. Borderlands is an awesome game. I recommend Civilization. If you've never played Civilization, like Civilization 5, that's mainly on the PC, I believe. I don't even know if that game is out for the console. Is it? I don't think so. I don't know, but I have Civilization 5 on the PC. Very, very fun game. I like to play SimCity. That's a very fun game as well. There's a bunch of good games. If you're into card games, you're into strategy, stuff like that, you can try out Hearthstone. Hearthstone is very, very fun. There's a bunch of games. There's a bunch of games out there, and those are some of the ones I recommend. I don't want to sit here and give you like a shopping list of different games that are awesome, but all those games are really, really fun to play, and I would recommend you play them. Pretty awesome stuff. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, I'm a sophomore in high school and I'm kind of popular. I play a lot of video games with people from my school, and I can tell my parents think that I'm a loser. They are always asking me and trying to get me to tell them if I'm being bullied, and telling me that they don't care if I'm popular because they still love me the same. I try to tell them that I'm not a nerd, I don't get picked on, and I have friends, and they just don't seem to believe me. They are from a time when video games were only Dungeons and Dragons, and those kids were always being picked on, and they just can't understand that video games aren't really looked down upon as much anymore. I don't know what to do. I can't stand them always looking at me with pity for something that isn't real. Please answer this. And this person did not leave his or her name. So, your parents think that you're a nerd because you play a lot of video games. That's what parents do. I think you hit the nail on the head in your question. I think you actually answered your own question. Your parents are from a time where video games are kind of looked down upon. If you look back, of course, I wasn't alive. I'm 22 years old. I was not alive in the 70s. I was not alive in the 80s. I was born in 91, right? But if there's anything I can tell from movies and television shows and things like that that were around from that time, is that the people that, you know, play a ton of video games and stuff, they were always the goofy guy. Like, if you watch a movie from that time period, if there's a guy in there that's kind of like a gamer or kind of into computers or anything, that guy was always the nerdy guy with the glasses. You're always just kind of like a dorky person. And my parents were kind of that way still. My dad still looks down upon video games in a way. You know, he says you're kind of wasting your time playing video games. You know, what are you doing playing video games? When he realizes he still doesn't fully understand YouTube. He still doesn't fully understand, you know, how YouTube has become a career for me and how it's a career for a lot of people. He doesn't really understand that. He doesn't really seem to get it. But it's just something you can't really change. It's really something you can't change. Actually, my grandpa on my mom's side, my mom's dad, he doesn't understand YouTube. I've been doing YouTube how long now, guys? Since 2011. It's almost 3 years, right? Yeah, NerosCinema turned 3 years old, right? And I've been partnered for about 2.5 years, right? I've been doing YouTube for quite a long time now. And he doesn't understand. He doesn't understand what I do. He doesn't understand how it works. He doesn't understand how YouTube works or how video games works. And I got woken up the other day, actually, by a call from my grandma, who is, of course, my grandpa's wife. And she called to let me know that there's a job opening down at the post office. It's going to be part-time, like 10 hours a week, and I can be a janitor. I can make some money. I'm sitting there half awake, my grandma's sitting there awake. I'm like, but Grandma, I have a job. And she's like, wait, really? Where'd you get a job? I'm like, Grandma, I've been doing YouTube for 3 years now. I make good money and I enjoy myself. I don't want to look for another job. And she's like, wait, what? She didn't understand. She's like, oh, I had no idea. I guess we'll stop looking for a job for you. Like, my grandparents were actively looking for a job for me for 3 years, apparently. It doesn't make sense. They don't get it. They really just don't get it. And well, I think, well, we had a question earlier there asking, what was my favorite part about being a YouTuber. Here's one of my least favorite parts of being a YouTuber is when I see people I went to high school with or people I know, they're always asking what you're doing. And when I try and say, I do YouTube, there's no simple answer. There's no simple answer. If you're an electrician, you say you're an electrician. If you work at Walmart, you work at Walmart. If you're I don't know, you work on cars or something, you work at an auto shop or something, right? But no, that's all easily understandable. People understand it, that, it's a simple one-sentence reply. When people ask what I do, and I try to reply to them, I have to follow up and write them a damn novel trying to explain how YouTube works, and they, of course, don't get it, so I have to keep trying to explain it more. And I've got to the point now where when people ask, what I'm doing now, how I'm doing, I'm like, I'm just fine. Oh, really? What you doing now? You working? Like, nah, I'm just looking. That's all I say. I just act like I don't have a job with anyone because it's a pain in the ass. But back to the question, like your parents said, there's really nothing you can really do to sway their opinion. I guess some parents get it and some parents don't get it. And if your parents don't get it, that's fine. They always look down upon you with pity or something. I think a lot of that's really in your head. I really don't think your parents are just ashamed of you and think that you're just some kind of a lesser human being because you play video games. I think they're trying to put your best interests first, even though they may not understand necessarily what your interests are. So things will be alright. Things will be okay. I think you're just going to be just fine. But your parents just maybe not understand how gaming works. Of course, maybe they support your habit of gaming or your hobby of gaming. I'm sure your parents, if you're a younger guy, that maybe they bought you your console or they bought you your computer or you play stuff with your friends at school. That's fine. My brother's that way. My brother's got a bunch of people from his school and we all play games together. It's pretty cool. And so I think you'll be fine. Just don't worry about too much. I think a lot of it is actually in your head. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, I loved Modern Warfare 3, and I was wondering, what exactly did you not enjoy about it? You said in episode 100 of Dear Nero that it was your least favorite Call of Duty, so I was curious. Mark from Missouri. So Mr. Mark from Missouri, why did I not like Modern Warfare 3? Modern Warfare 3 was the first Call of Duty game for me that was just like, really? This doesn't make sense. Like the game itself just didn't feel right to me. In Modern Warfare 3, it was kind of like a bad version of Modern Warfare 2 for me. They changed around the entire concept of kill streaks, and assault kill streaks were really just kind of worthless within that game. They put in Assassin in there, and it was the first Call of Duty game that didn't have stopping power, I think. No, actually, Black Ops didn't have stopping power. Actually, no, it was the second game that didn't have stopping power. And like the Assassin perk was wild in that game. It was just used by everything. The MP7 and the ACR were ridiculously overpowered, and really the only two guns really worth using in that game. I didn't like any of the maps. I did not like any of the maps. I didn't like the color template of the game. When games go for a realistic look, like with what Modern Warfare 3 did, you find that everything is green and brown. And that's really what that game was. Like, the color palette of the game was just really not enjoyable. You couple that in the fact that it's all modern. Now, I'm not really a big fan of modern to slightly futuristic games. I'm not really a big fan of those either. So it was like a modern game with just really dreary colors. It was really depressing to look at that game for me. And I didn't like it. I'm trying to think of more examples as to why I didn't like it. I didn't like the weapon balance. I didn't like the kill streaks. I didn't like the way the maps looked. I didn't like the way any of the maps played, with the exception of a few. But the spawn system in that game was really bad. There's just a lot I didn't like. I did not like Modern Warfare 3. I understand a lot of people did like Modern Warfare 3, but for me, it was just not my game. Not my game at all. I did not really enjoy it at all. But to each his own. If you enjoyed Modern Warfare 3, good on you. There's probably people out there that didn't like Black Ops. And I loved Black Ops. There's probably people out there that didn't like Black Ops 2, and I loved Black Ops 2. There's a game for everybody, and Modern Warfare 3 was not my game. It just was not my game. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, I've been watching YouTube videos for a long time now, and back in the Modern Warfare 2 days, dual commentaries were a big thing. Now we almost never see a dual commentary. I personally like dual commentaries, so I don't get why they fade away. Carl from Copenhagen. So Mr. Carl from Copenhagen, you're right on that, right? Dual commentaries, the old school style of dual commentaries. Back in the day, how it was, you'd have like a really good game of Call of Duty or something, and you bring on a friend, you bring on a fellow YouTuber, and the two of you would commentate that game. You discuss, a random thing. I've done a couple dual commentaries in my day. One with Blue Bob, I think. I think I did a couple of them with Mr. Boss for the win. I've done a Dear Nero with Wildcat. That was a fun one. I've done a few dual commentaries, but not a whole lot of them. I think you're right, though. Back in the day, dual commentaries were a big thing. The strategy, I guess, behind dual commentaries is, one, it was easier to do a video with someone else, and two, it was kind of like an integration thing where, hey, this guy's in this video with this guy. I'll go watch this guy's videos now. It's kind of like what people do now, like a collaboration. And you see that now. Dual commentaries, I think, still exist, but they exist in a different way. Dual commentaries are more of a Let's Play style thing right now. If you look at a lot of what the really popular YouTube channels are doing, a lot of them play together. A bunch of people that have really big channels, they will play together playing a game, be it like Gary's Mod or be it like, I don't know, Grand Theft Auto 5 or stuff like that, and they all go play together, and they all make really entertaining videos because they all add something to that video. That's really the kind of thing that people do now, as compared to more traditional dual commentaries, where it's almost like, kind of like my Dear Nero with Wildcat, basically like that, where, two people are answering questions or two people are discussing a different topic. Mr. Boss for the Win and I, we discussed, I think during Black Ops 2, we did a video. It was actually really good gameplay. It was a nuclear gameplay where I got like 6 orbital VSATs in one video. But it was a dual commentary discussing the first map pack in Black Ops 2 and talking about our opinions on the map pack. Do we like the design of it? Do we like the Peacekeeper? And talking about that. And those are the more traditional dual commentaries. But really, they don't seem to exist anymore. I do agree with you. I kind of wish they were still around. But people just don't seem to do it that much. I'm saying that as a viewer, not as a YouTuber. Like, I do wish that other YouTubers I watch and stuff that they did more dual commentaries. But the same effect, they do podcasts and things like that now. And I don't know, it's not the worst thing in the world. It was a cool time, though. It was a cool time, all the dual commentaries that used to happen back in the Modern Warfare 2 days. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, who is your favorite hero in Hearthstone? And also, what is the most wins you've ever earned in Arena? Thanks, Ben from Maine. So, Ben, it changes. My favorite hero was actually the Hunter for the longest time, and my goal was actually to get my 500 wins in ranked games to unlock the Golden Hunter. I'm over 100 wins in Hearthstone with the Hunter in ranked, but then I just kind of like lost all interest in the Hunter for some reason. Like, I just have no drive anymore to play the Hunter. Right now, currently, my favorite hero I'd say is the Warrior. I like what you can do with the Warrior. I like the idea of a control Warrior deck. I like being able to I like being able to have high mana or minions out on the field. I like to be able to control the board. I like to be able to armor up and just be able to survive very long and not get blitzed down. If I face a Zoo deck with my control warrior deck, good luck to you, Mr. Zoo. Not very often do I actually lose to a Zoo deck anymore with that deck. I like the Warrior a whole lot, and I like the cards that come with it. I also like the Warlock. The Warlock is actually a really fun deck as well. So those are my 3 favorite. Those are the ones I like to play the most, would be the Warrior, the Hunter, and the Warlock. I don't really have a set favorite. And what was the most wins I've ever gotten in Arena? 4. Not very good. I'm not very good at Arena. For me in Hearthstone, I can put together a deck, and I can usually do well with the deck, but it'll take me a while to really learn it. So I go into Arena, and it's all kind of random. I don't do as well there. I'm getting better at it, I guess, but I'm just not that great at it. It's one of those things I really got to improve on. But I'm pretty good at Hearthstone. I've gotten actually up to rank 12 in ranked, so I'm not the worst player, not the best player, but definitely not the worst. So I think I'm definitely above average at Hearthstone. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, as a full-time YouTuber, do you take long walks in your downtime? Also, do you plan on doing a Let's Play of the COD World of War campaign? Keep up the great work, Jack from Massachusetts. So Jack, no, I don't think I'm going to do a playthrough of the Call of Duty World of War campaign, because one, I've beaten it many times, then I went back and beat it on Veteran, and beating that game on Veteran is ridiculous. There needs to be a full-time support group for veterans of the Call of Duty World of War Veteran campaign. That thing will take years off your life. It is so frustratingly difficult. But as a full-time YouTuber, do I take long walks in my downtime? In my downtime, I play games that I don't post to YouTube, if that makes sense. If I just want to chill out one night, right? My sleep schedule sometimes gets really bad. Right now it's pretty good, but sometimes my sleep schedule gets bad. Now I'm going to bed at like 7 o'clock in the morning. Once all my stuff's done, where I got nothing else to do, no one else is on. What's really fun about being a YouTuber is that freedom of schedule, which I talked about earlier in the video. And like, what? I'm gonna start a Civilization game, and just start up Civilization 5. Pick my nation. You know, started off in the ancient era, which is like a really long game. You know, maybe put the difficulty on a little bit of a harder difficulty than I'm used to, and just play freaking Civilization for 7 hours. You know, that's something I really like to do in my downtime. Do stuff like that, or play other games. You know, do I take long walks? I've actually been walking. I don't know if I think I mentioned that on Dear Nero either last week or 2 weeks ago or something. That one downside of being a YouTuber is you really don't get any exercise. And while weight is not my issue, I'm actually pretty underweight. I don't like how not in shape I am. I did smoke cigarettes for how many years? 6 years or so, and I quit last year. It's been well over a year since I quit smoking, actually, so that's still pretty cool. But I smoked for all those years, but I never did anything to get my shape after quitting. So occasionally, not every day, every other day, every 3 or 4 times a week or stuff like that. I'll just go for walks. I'll start walking like around the town I live in or stuff, and just trying to get myself in shape. It's not, I'm not trying to do it to gain muscle. I'm not trying to do it to do anything like that. I'm just trying to undo the damage that I did all those years of smoking. And I'm lucky that I stopped smoking before I ever developed a smoker's cough. I never really got any negative health effects from smoking for 6 years or anything like that. I'm glad I quit when I did. But yeah, I never developed a smoker's cough. I'm just really out of shape. I get kind of winded, not super winded, but a little bit winded, noticeably winded when I'm like taking out the garbage and stuff like that. It's like, damn, I really need to get in shape. And as a YouTuber, we get no exercise, man. We get done. We sit in a computer chair all day and play video games and make videos revolving around those video games. That's what we do. It's like having a desk job that you're at, except your desk job is also where you also do recreation. If you just want to, people go to work and then they come home. In their home, they can watch TV or play games or do whatever it is they want to do in their home. Well, for me, work and recreation is all in one spot, all in this area. So it is nice to kind of get out there, get some fresh air, run around and stuff. Not run around, but walk around and stuff. And so, yeah, I do actually go take walks, believe it or not, as a YouTuber. Next and final question, he writes, Dear Nero, how many PC games do you play, and have you ever heard of Ultima Online? This person not leave his or her name. I have not played or even heard of Ultima Online. I'm sure it's a big thing that I'm just somehow not aware of. But yeah, I've never heard of that game. What PC games do I play? I'm not entirely positive off the top of my head. So we're going to do some clicking here, and we're going to actually open up Steam, and we're going to take a gander, and we're going to look at some of that stuff as to the games that we're playing. Let's see here. So we got Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2. We got Call of Duty 4, Call of Duty World at War. We've got the DayZ standalone, which I haven't played in a while. We've got Skyrim. We got Fallout New Vegas, which I'm not really a big fan of. We got Game Dev Tycoon, which I'm still doing a Let's Play of on Nero's Let's Plays. That playthrough I don't think it's ever going to end. We've got Left 4 Dead 2 on here. We've got Sid Meier's Civilization 5, Sniper Elite V2, Sniper Elite Nazi Zombie Army, Super Amazing Wagon Adventure. I got that during the Steam sale, so I'm actually looking forward to playing that. We got The Walking Dead Season 2, which I'm yet to even play past the first episode for whatever reason. Where's Origin? I've got my Origin sitting here somewhere. Let's open that up. I don't think I have that many Origin games as compared to Steam games, but we've got Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, SimCity. We've got Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare. I've got the Battlefield Hardline beta on here, but the beta, of course, is not actually active right now. And actually, fun fact, if you guys don't know, Battlefield Hardline got delayed until 2015. That's quite a ways away. I also do some Blizzard stuff. I've played Wild of Hearthstone and slowly dabbling into World of Warcraft because I've heard so many awesome things about that game as an MMO, and I started playing it, and it deserves all the hype it gets. It's actually a really, really fun game. So those are basically all the games that I have played or do play on the PC. And once again, I've never heard of Ultima Online. But either way, I hope you guys all enjoyed this episode of Dear Nero. Definitely a bit shorter than last week's episode. But last week's episode, we answered 100 questions. And that was quite the episode. But if you guys like to send in your guys' questions for next week's episode of Dear Nero, simply send me a personal message here on YouTube. And there you go. That's really all you have to do. The messaging system, the old outro used to be, simply send me a personal message here on YouTube. Make the title of the message Dear Nero. But you can't title your messages anymore here on YouTube. So just send me a message and, put have the first words in your message be Dear Nero, and then maybe a dash or something like that followed up by your question. That's simple enough. If you guys don't know how to send a message here on YouTube, it's very simple. Go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/NerosCinema, hit the About button, and in there you will see the Send Message button, and you guys can send me your message that way. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this episode of Dear Nero, and if you did, please be sure to leave a rating. Hope you guys all have a wonderful day.